Chapter 109, The Absolute Defense and the Star Protection. Wang Yan referred to them as the Windfire Duo. They both were female soul masters with elemental martial souls. One was fire type while the other was wind type. At this moment, Yu Zhen, the rank 51 fire control type soul king, pressed her right hand down towards Ma Xiaotao. A blazing circle of light instantly appeared below Ma Xiaotao's feet, generating an intense vacuum underneath her. Ma Xiaotao suddenly felt her phoenix flames draining out from below her with unstoppable momentum. They were being frantically absorbed by the red circle of light. The weaknesses of Huo Yuao's spiritual detection sharing started to show at this point. The Star Glory spell unleashed by Princess Juju's Star Crown interfered with Huo Yuao's spiritual detection, rendering him to be unable to support his teammates. Otherwise, how could Ma Xiaotao's battle be so passive? Huo Yuao was despondent. Princess Juju's Star Crown seemed to counter his spirit eyes. Of course, he wouldn't have been afraid if they were both at the same level of mastery. However, his level of mastery was greatly inferior at the moment, so the gap in power was simply too great for him to overcome. Furthermore, this was the case even after Huo Yuao's spiritual C received a considerable boost. All this served to prove the power of the Star Crown martial soul. While Ma Xiaotao was being held back by Huang Hain and Yu Chen, the battle had simultaneously begun on the other side of the arena. Da Yuehang was faced with a tall, lanky youth. His martial soul was a lion, the netherworld-crazed lion. He was the second-ranked assault type soul king from the Douluo camp, and his name was Dugu Shangshan. The netherworld-crazed lion martial soul gave Da Yuehang a hard time as it made him unable to fully unleash his strength. Once the netherworld-crazed lion was attached to his body, Dugu Shangshan let off an illusory feeling, while Da Yuehang's white tiger martial soul was powerful. His forte was physical assault. Faced with an opponent that was hard to hit with physical attacks, much of his strength was being negated. With the support of the Star Glory spell, Dugu Shangshan was able to hold off Da Yuehang. It would have been a lot easier for Da Yuehang if he was against just the netherworld-crazed lion soul king. He would even probably win if he put in a little more effort. The problem was that there was another control type battle soul king behind him, the person that represented wind in the Windfire Duo. Just as Da Yuehang unleashed his white tiger's Vajra transformation, he felt his body suddenly freeze in place as a green circle of light rose up from beneath his feet. The green circle of light instantly transformed into a miniature tornado that trapped him within. Even though it didn't knock him off his feet and throw him around, his subsequent assault was countered just like that. The two Soul Emperors were the most powerful strike force on the Shrek Academy's team, but they were forcibly held back by the combined efforts of 4 Soul Kings from the Douluo National Academy with the support of the Star Glory spell. Bei Bei was also being obstructed. The opponent he was facing was an agility type Soul King whose speed was something that Bei Bei had never encountered before. He hadn't been able to see his opponent clearly since the beginning of the battle. If Ma Xiaotao hadn't been so close, his opponent wouldn't have dared to defend against the attack. Furthermore, Huo Yuao wasn't able to properly utilize his spiritual detection sharing. If Huo Yuao's spiritual detection was directed towards him, he would probably be in deep trouble. In the eyes of the audience, Bei Bei appeared to be surrounded by a bolt of lightning that flickered incessantly. This bolt of lightning was yellow, which was in stark contrast to bluish-purple lighting on his body. Every time the yellow bolt of lightning charged over, it erupted with a ferocious assault. Bei Bei seemed a little hard-pressed as he tried his best to defend. Bei Bei was only able to barely hold on with the blue tyrant lightning dragon's immense power. His opponent was the only agility type soul master in the Douluo National Academy's team. His name was Chen Xiajie, who possessed the lightning warfalcon martial soul. When Wang Yan was evaluating this soul king, he had described him with just a few words: tough and annoying to handle. Not only was the lightning warfalcon extremely fast, it also possessed powerful offensive capabilities. A lapse in concentration was simply not allowed when engaging this fellow in battle. Bei Bei already had more than 10 wounds on his body by this time. Even though they weren't serious, the wounds continually weakened his fighting strength. Princess Juju's eyes did not linger at the battle occurring before her. Instead, her eyes were directed at the thick white mist that was swiftly rolling towards them. The current situation was that the Douluo National Academy used 5 people to hold back 3 assault type soul masters from Shrek Academy's lineup. In reality, they weren't really at a disadvantage, as one could say that Ma Xiaotao, Da Yuehang and Bei Bei made up 70% of Shrek Academy's fighting strength. Both parties had yet to give their all as the battle continued to unfold. The most frightening aspect of group battles was the sudden appearance of harmonious teamwork. With such team fights, either party would be able to tip the scale and emerge victorious with a single eruption of explosive power. Princess Juju squinted her eyes a little as she gradually pointed her right hand into the sky. A single golden speck of light sparkled on her fingertip as the brilliance of the star crown above her head flickered once more. This time, a streak of golden light shot up into the sky. However, this wasn't the same light pillar as before, but a thin golden thread. Her first soul ring sparkled on while she continued to maintain her third soul ring, which powered the Star Glory spell. The ray of golden light paused as it approached the protective dome around the competition stage. Immediately afterwards, a single brilliant star appeared above Princess Juju's head. This star wasn't big, but it exuded a vigorous radiance. Princess Juju closed her eyes momentarily as she pointed towards the rolling ice mist. The patch of starlight transformed into uncountable rays of light in the next moment as they surged towards the patch of ice mist. Surprisingly, these thin streaks of light weren't impeded by the ice mist at all. They entered it with extreme ease, as they were just pure rays of light, without a trace of offensive power. The threads of light glimmered as a vast majority of them vanished into thin air. Only 4 streaks of light remained as they guided Princess Juju like a bridge. These 4 rays of light shimmered within the ice mist while they phased in and out of sight. This was the star guiding technique, her first soul skill. She successfully located her 4 opponents hidden within the ice mist with the help of the star's guidance. Within the ice mist, the 4 people maintained their positions. The only difference was that they were closer to the center of the competition stage than before. The patch of ice mist continued to close in from both ends towards the center of the stage as well. Ma Xiaotao released a shrill phoenix cry into the sky as her blazing wings forcefully flapped downwards, and a streak of red light surged into the sky. The pillar of red light was took the form of a fiery phoenix as scorching phoenix flames erupted. The control spell that Yu Chen directed towards her was immediately broken as the dark demon tiger soul king, Huang Hain, was forcibly pushed away. The dense ice mist riled up at this point and lunged towards the center like a tsunami. A single ray of black light flickered within, and it was targeted straight at Princess Juju. Shu Sanqi, who had been holding back the mysterious netherworld displacement for a long time, finally unleashed it. Even though he knew that it was almost impossible for him to succeed, he still had to use it. The purpose of this move was just to occupy the princess's attention. Da Yuehang unleashed his white tiger's devil god transformation in an instant and pounced towards his opponent. On the other side, Bei Bei exploded with innumerable streaks of lightning and forced back the lightning warfalcon soul king. Besides Huo Yuao and Wang Dong, almost every member from Shrek Academy was erupting all around. However, just at this moment, a faint smile appeared on Princess Juju's face. It felt as if she had been waiting for this the whole time, as if she had been looking forward to this moment since the very beginning. She suddenly tossed out a sphere of golden light from her hands. It wasn't a soul skill. The golden light flashed once before smashing against Ma Xiaotao's frightening phoenix flames that were soaring into the air. The strangest of scenes happened. A layer of golden light descended from the sky and enveloped Ma Xiaotao's 6th soul skill, the phoenix meteor shower, which had already been unleashed. It crashed downwards with lightning speed as it applied pressure on Ma Xiaotao herself. Her most powerful soul skill was negated just like that. Ma Xiaotao felt a stifling pressing way down on her from the sky. She wanted to dodge, but the patch of golden light bore down on her in an instant and trapped her within. There was a single sphere with 108 cross-sectional areas that sparkled with brilliant light above the layer of golden light. This sphere was about the size of a fist and spiraled with intense speed as it flickered with blinding light. Ma Xiaotao, who was trapped inside, immediately launched a hysterical assault against the layer of light, but was only able to create ripples along its surface. Her efforts proved futile. This sudden change shocked the entire team from Shrek Academy. They had chose to explode with the tactic that Wang Yan called the dual sky of ice and fire. The ice mist unleashed by Huo Yuao and Ling Luokan provided all-round control and pressure, but the move that would have claimed victory for them was Ma Xiaotao's phoenix meteor shower. Who would have thought that Ma Xiaotao would be so easily locked down by their opponents? He K2 stood up abruptly below the competition stage. Intense disbelief filled his eyes as he said, That's an absolute defense soul tool. How can that be? That absolute defense barrier soul tool is at least class 7. They actually have a class 7 soul tool. The absolute defense barrier can only be used once, but its value. Wang Yan's eyes were wide open as he reacted with an equal amount of surprise. He asked hurriedly, "What is the absolute defense barrier?" Hikachu answered, "It's similar to the invincible barrier. Once it's deployed, anybody under the absolute defense barrier seal will have to face the protection of a defense type soul master similar to the power of a stage 8 soul Douluo for 15 minutes. However, this is a special soul tool that also works in reverse. The absolute defense barrier has the same effects internally and externally. Even if one wants to forcibly break out of the pearl, one has to be at least a class 7 soul sage. This soul tool can only be manufactured by the Sun Moon Empire, and its formation arrays are extremely mysterious. It's impossible for us to produce anything similar. To think it would appear in this competition, it's been said that the absolute defense barrier is worth several million gold soul coins. Having this item during a dangerous moment is equivalent to having another life. This is so much more powerful than the invincible barrier, which is only effective for 3 seconds. 15 minutes is enough to accomplish many things." Hikachu continued, "In terms of abilities, we may be at an advantage. However, how can our financial power match up to such dominant powers like the Dalu Empire? To them, even such an expensive soul tool is expendable." Ma Xiaotao, the most powerful member, was trapped. This was a disaster for Shrek Academy's team. Princess Juju had obviously planned out her strategy well. With Ma Xiaotao out of the way, her fourth soul ring lit up. A ball of thick, intense starlight was unleashed. This time, the starlight was as bright as the sun. This ball expanded into a barrier of light, it forcefully expelling the ice mist outside. Only the 7 members on her side, including Dai Yueheng, Bei Bei and the trapped Ma Xiaotao, were covered within this layer of light. On the surface of the layer of the light barrier, 18 stars appeared and flashed with a bright glow. Huang Hain and Yu Chen, who were both fighting Ma Xiaotao initially, changed their target to Dai Yueheng without any hesitation. The 4 soul kings encircled him. Bei Bei continued to suffer from the relentless attacks of the lightning war falcon, and he could not even ensure his own safety. Princess Juju appeared indifferent as she looked at the ice mist outside the layer of light, and she curled her lips up slightly. There was yet another soul master in front of her who, till this point, had not joined in the battle at all. Not good. Inside the ice mist, Lin Luogan's face grew solemn. She quickly forced and waved with the ice mist. However, the light barrier that flashed with starlight continued to resist the ice mist. It was unable to gain any ground. There was a flickering radiance that shone from the 18 stars. It was obvious that unless the light from all 18 stars dimmed, this light barrier would not be broken. No one would have expected such a situation before the competition. Princess Juju had divided the 7 members of the Shrek Academy in half. Furthermore, Lin Luogan had discovered this problem far too late. Amongst her own team, those who were offensively inclined were covered by the light barrier, while everyone else left outside of it were not skilled in attacking. Wang Dong and Huo Yua could mount an offense, but their cultivations were simply too weak. The ultimate ice could only enhance Lin Luogan's soul skill, but not change it. Unfortunately, Lin Luogan was a control type soul master, not an assault type soul master. She only had the ice mist at her disposal for attacking. On top of the city wall, the Daluo Emperor revealed a gentle smile on his face. To Shrek, it's not an entirely bad thing to lose. The star barrier of our Daluo bloodline hasn't appeared in the continent for a very long time. I'm afraid the world of soul masters has already forgotten our powerful defense type soul skill that's known for being able to isolate all other elements. It's rather useful while facing off against Huo Yua's ultimate ice. My younger sister has been unconvinced by my appraisal of that little fellow because of this. When that little fellow grows up, I would really like to see the result of a fight between the star barrier and his ultimate element. At this moment, Dai Yueheng was the one who was in the most danger. The attacking force of Daluo Academy's Windfire duo had increased after they teamed up. Without the suppression of the Phoenix flames, Yu Chen licked her hands in front of her, causing a bright flaming ring to loom over Dai Yueheng. Dai Yueheng couldn't avoid this flaming halo. This was because the light ring first expanded to cover the entire area of the star barrier before it retracted towards the center. The wind control type Soul King, Wang Shoying, also unleashed a similar halo of light. One red and one green light ring overlapped each other and exploded at the same time. As the saying went, wind aided the strength of fire. The instant that the 2 light rings ascended, a series of howls and booms resonated in the air. With Dai Yueheng's body as the center, a huge pillar of wind and fire rose into the sky. With the power of wind supplementing it, the burning flames became extremely deadly. They were like a huge meat grinder that was wildly crushing everything within them. After unleashing the combination of wind and fire, Huang Hain, Dugu Shangshan, Yu Chen and Wang Shoying did not exploit the opportunity to attack. Rather, they gathered together rapidly and stood in a row. The abilities of the Shrek Academy Soul Emperors were displayed right now. Even while Ma Xiaotao was suppressed heavily, Dai Yueheng didn't panic at all. As the pillar of wind and fire was unleashed, Huang Hain and Dugu Shangshan were not able to force him back by even half a step. Instead, they caused him to become even fiercer. As the pillar of wind and fire was unleashed, the immense pressure caused his hairs to curl up. However, Dai Yueheng faced the sky and released a roar. He thumped his fists against his chest, and blazing golden lights were suddenly released from his body. The character on his forehead even flashed with a bright radiance. Behind him, a huge illusory figure of a white tiger flashed. Suddenly, he bent his back and slammed his fist down on the ground beneath his feet. When this fist struck the solid competition stage, everything seemed to go still in the star barrier domain. Following silence, a booming sound like thunder rang out. Debris flew and blew apart the pillar of wind and fire, scattering fragments in various directions. It should be noted that the 2 control type Soul Kings fought with the support of Princess Juju's Star Glory spell. According to their original estimates, a Soul Emperor could only defend passively if the 2 of them teamed up together to control him. But he knew that Dai Yueheng would manage to overcome them using his tough strength and soul power. Not only did he not defend, but he used his immense strength to break apart the wind and fire elements using the earth element. Princess Juju focused her gaze. When the red and green light rings exploded, Dai Yueheng also lifted his head and looked in the direction of Princess Juju. As their gazes met, Princess Juju's expression turned cold. Dai Yueheng's eyes flashed with a strange glint. As he bellowed, his body bent forward a little. In the next instant, he had already leapt out like lightning, and his target was Princess Juju. It was best to go for the leader to root out the problem. However, 4 figures formed a quaternity in front of her and blocked his path. Dai Yueheng couldn't see anything strange from the front, but the back of 4 members of the Daluo Academy emitted dim white radiances. The white radiances formed a dome-like shape, just like the shell in the back of a turtle. These radiances shone through the uniforms they wore. Yu Chen, who stood the furthest back, pressed on Wang Xing's back. Wang Shoying did the same towards Dugu Shangshan. Similarly, Dugu Shangshan's palms also pressed on Huang Hain's back. Right now, they seemed like one entity now. Huang Hain's eyes seemed to have ballooned from earlier, causing blood vessels squirming under the fur of the dark demon tiger's possession to be visible. As Dai Yueheng leapt forward, Huang Hain suddenly struck his palms forward. As they struck, Huang Hain let loose a deep growl. This growl carried an extremely concentrated aura of darkness and collided with Dai Yueheng. Boom! Dai Yueheng felt as if he had collided with a sheet of iron. He was sent flying and was knocked violently against the light barrier of the star barrier. His organs felt as if they were on fire. As he tried to get up, he vomited fresh blood. Impossible. This was the first thought that he had in his mind after he was sent flying. The opponent was only a Soul King. How could his soul power be so great? Even if the opponent was a 7-ring Soul Sage, he would still be unable to unleash such power without using his martial soul true body. Below the competition stage, Wang Yan was a little anxious. He grabbed Hikachu beside him and asked, What soul tool is this? Hikachu laughed bitterly. This is a rare soul tool called the 9 Transformation Soul Right. The core formation that's used to produce it requires a special metal called Chaos Silver. The greatest strength of this 9 Transformation Soul Right is that it can change soul power types. No matter what type of soul power is injected into it, the type of soul power that comes out is the most balanced chaos type that can be absorbed by anyone of any type. Through this 9 Transformation Soul Right, soul masters can inject their soul power into one another for a short period of time, but a portion of the soul power injected into them has to be released quickly. After all, soul power beyond what a soul master can handle will lead to damage in his passageways. Furthermore, chaos type soul power can only be used temporarily and can't be fused with one's own soul power. I didn't expect them to use this. The 9 Transformation Soul Right is a class 5 soul tool and can be used by soul masters with less than 7 rings. If the person it's used by is a 7-ring soul sage or stronger, the core formation of the chaos Silver can't handle the surge of soul power unless it's an extremely large 9 Transformation Soul Right. As As he struck his palms towards Dalu, Huang Hain's face surged with a tinge of red. He shouldered the greatest pressure as he helmed at the tip of the 9 transformation soul right. After this competition, he would have to rest for up to a month to heal his passageways. However, he would not hold back here. Amplified by Princess Juju's Star Glory spell, the combined power of 5 Soul Kings had hurt Dalu. However, Ma Xiaotao couldn't be restrained forever. To win, they had to end everything before Ma Xiaotao escaped, and gather the powers of all 7 of them to deal with the strongest Soul Emperor. Hence, Huang Hain followed up with another attack immediately. A huge figure of a black tiger leapt out from his body. It was the demon tiger's heaven shock that he had used against Ma Xiaotao before. The difference this time was that, under the support of the frightening soul power, this illusory figure of the dark demon tiger seemed like a real entity. In just a moment, it was already in front of Dalu. They were planning to incapacitate Dalu in this next strike. The situation in the Star Barrier was very dangerous. However, what about the situation outside the Star Barrier? When Huo Yuao and the rest saw that Dalu was being attacked by the Wingfire duo, they realized that things were going to be bad. However, they had no chance if they did not overcome the barrier of light in front of them. But how could they have the power to do so? Shu Sanchi really wanted to enter the state of the Swanwu turtle. However, he couldn't just summon it at any time he wished. If Zhang Nanan was the one who was trapped, it might have been a different story. But without her, he couldn't unleash it. Ling Luogan's ice mist constantly engulfed the entire Star Barrier, and the 18 stars above the Star Barrier were slowly dimming. But if things were dragged on at this pace, they might not get in before the seal trapping Ma Xiaotao was released. What do we do? Wang Dong asked Huo Yuao anxiously. Huo Yuao did not have a clue either. As the effect of his spiritual detection sharing was crippled, he had fallen into a bewildered state. Hearing Wang Dong's anxious voice only increased his depression. A competition of this level was out of his control. He wanted to sweep aside this sense of helplessness, but the gap in cultivation rendered him unable to do so. Do you know why you are so helpless? An old voice rang in his head clearly. LDE. Huo Yuao responded in his consciousness. Electrolux answered his own question. That's because you don't fully understand yourself. You haven't used your control to the fullest. While increasing one's cultivation is important, you will be unable to reach the top no matter how hard you cultivate if you don't understand your own capabilities. After this competition, I want you to enter closed-door cultivation. Understand that power cannot decide everything all the time. The ability to control everything that you possess and exhibit your capabilities appropriately in different situations. That is true power. For now, act according to what I tell you. Yuao, what do we do? In Wang Dong's eyes, Huo Yuao was entirely in a daze. This was a critical situation. Wang Dong was aware that his own abilities could not phase the light barrier. In this battle, the only chance he had was if he combined with Huo Yuao. Huo Yuao's eyes brightened, and he shouted, Senior Ling, maintain the strength of the ice mist and help to block our figures. Wang Dong, let's strike. As he said that, he turned around suddenly and opened his arms wide. He hugged Wang Dong tightly and strongly. Their spirits and soul powers combined and merged into one entity. The strength of the opponent is derived from star power. What's the origin of the star power? It's light. No matter how they are structured internally, they are all made of light. They can be considered a high-level performance of light, advised Electrolux. Within the ice mist, Huo Yuao's pupils emitted a dim golden glow on one side. On the other side, Wang Dong unleashed his radiant butterfly goddess, spreading his elegant wings behind his back. Alternating shades of blue, purple and gold shone within the mist. When the illusory figure of the huge radiant butterfly goddess spread open her wings and hugged the illusory figure of the spirit eyes, a dazzling purplish golden light burst out. A glow that descended from the sky engulfed the illusory figures. A huge bluish golden pupil directed its gaze towards the front. Blue, purple and golden light that intertwined with each other shot out from the depths of the pupil that seemed to contain a boundless world. A radiance laced with a magical color shot straight forward, looking onto the light of the star barrier. Blocked by the dense ice mist, neither the audience below the stage nor the competitors inside the star barrier could see what was happening. Even Princess Juju did not have a clue as their star guiding technique could only sense their positions with her. The ice mist subtly diminished. It was as if its aura of ultimacy had been lost. However, Princess Juju's attention was entirely on Dalu at this moment as Huang Hain's second wave of Demon Tiger's Heaven Shock was about to strike Dalu. To her, this was the key to determine victory. She ignored the 4 outside the barrier. She reckoned that even though Huo Yuao was very talented, he was unable to pose much of a threat to her. However, Princess Juju's expression changed the next instant. The dim golden glow on the star barrier suddenly turned a bright golden color. The entire barrier actually began to emit the same radiance as the 18 stars above the barrier. Princess Juju could only faintly see what was in front of her, only catching a short glimpse of a huge pupil briefly appearing before vanishing again. In the next moment, she discovered to her horror that her star barrier seemed to have been melted. Drops of golden fluid flowed down the surface of the barrier. Furthermore, the soul power that she was continuously injecting was forcefully stopped. This was impossible. She was now feeling like Tai Yuheng had failed earlier. She had no idea how the 4 members outside were able to damage her star barrier. However, there was nothing impossible in this world. At the moment when the star barrier was broken through, Tai Yuheng reacted to his opponent's assault. Blinding white light was suddenly unleashed from his body, and a huge figure of a white tiger surfaced above his head, instantly fused with his body. Tai Yuheng let out a furious roar. His first, third, fifth, and sixth soul ring flashed at the same time. His 3 strengthening skills, the white tiger's shield, the white tiger's Vajra transformation, and the white tiger's devil god transformation were powered to their peaks with his soul emperor cultivation. From his pair of almost foot-long golden tiger claws, a cold radiance was emitted. In the next instant, his body suddenly disappeared from the bright radiance that had flashed from white to gold. A huge kill character suddenly appeared out of nowhere and collided with the black tiger formed by the demon tiger's heaven shock. Sharp streaks of peering and splitting were heard inside of the star barrier. It was combined with the roars of 2 raging tigers that were wreaking havoc to their surroundings. Huang Hain and the rest were indeed very powerful, as they had combined their soul power using the 9 transformation soul right. Their overall power had already reached the intermediate stage of the soul sage rank. In terms of soul power, Dai Yuheng, who was only a soul emperor, was completely suppressed. Princess Juju had meticulously chosen Huang Hain to be placed at the very front. She was very familiar with Dai Yuheng's white tiger martial soul, so she had created this strategy to specifically counter Dai Yuheng. Huang Hain's dark demon tiger was only slightly inferior to the white tiger. However, the difference was minimal. Along with the enhancement of the Star Glory spell, this suppression of martial souls was completely removed. Under such a circumstance, the might of Dai Yuheng's white tiger no longer had to be feared. However, things did not always go according to plan. Princess Juju could never predict that Huang Hain's state of mind would experience changes during the battle, resulting in the failure of his second strike, which was supposed to be the defining blow. The change in his state of mind was not because of Dai Yuheng, but Ma Xiaotao, who had fought him earlier. Ma Xiaotao was just too powerful. Even after being infused with the Star Glory spell, Huang Hain had still felt completely helpless. He was clearly aware that Ma Xiaotao was stronger than Dai Yuheng. After they defeating Dai Yuheng, their next target would be Ma Xiaotao. Hence, Huang Hain did not unleash his 5th soul skill to defeat Dai Yuheng according to the original plan. Instead, he used his 3rd soul skill. A 1,000-year soul ring skill was significantly weaker than a 10,000-year soul kill. However, Dai Yuheng coughing up blood and seemed to be on the verge of falling. With his comrades supporting him, he had felt that a 1,000-year soul skill backed with the power of a soul sage was enough to finish him off. By this, he could conserve his soul power to deal with Ma Xiaotao. Using soul skills with the combined power of 4 people caused the toll on his body to be rather big. The reason why they combined only 4 of them and not 5 was because no one could handle the accumulation of 5 individual soul powers. Against any other person, Huang Hain's decision would have been correct. However, Dai Yuheng was from Shrek Academy. He was a monster, and a very experienced one at that. Knowing that he had no room to escape, his potential was stimulated. In a short span of time, he managed to pinpoint Huang Hain's flaw. The result of the infusing 4 people's soul power into one person boosted his soul power to tremendous heights. However, there was also a drawback. This drawback was very simple. Their attacks became very rigid. While the demon tiger's heaven shock was full of power and speed, it lacked flexibility. Dai Yuheng managed to unleash his strongest soul skill under the support of his 3 strengthening skills. White Tiger's extermination. Using this close combat skill allowed him to dodge the charge of the demon tiger's heaven shock. Turning around, he managed to forcefully disperse this attack while taking 6 consecutive strikes from the side. Although Dai Yuheng vomiting more blood, he took advantage of the situation and dashed towards Bei Bei in the distance. After losing their opportunity, another drawback was revealed. The 4 of them lacked dexterity. With Dai Yuheng's cultivation, it was not easy for his opponent to force him to take another blow without determining his exact location. Idiot. Princess Juju could not help but curse. As the saying went, a weak teammate was more harm than a strong opponent. What added to her misery was that her star barrier had collapsed with a loud, booming sound. The effect of your martial soul fusion skill, the Golden Road, is to melt and degrade. It is a combination of the light element and spiritual power. This skill of yours only fires in a straight line but will have no problems hitting on a stationary barrier, even if the opponent's defense type soul skill isolates other elements. All you have to do is to control the power of degradation within the Golden Road and convert it into the power to melt, said Electrolux. When the Golden Road struck the star barrier, Huoyua could clearly feel the collision between the Golden Road and the star barrier. In the past, the Golden Road had passed through everything in a straight line whenever it was shot. This was the first time it was blocked. However, the instant the bright, tricolored radiance was blocked, it spread over the star barrier. Huoyua suddenly felt something in his mind being stirred. A wave of weird power passed from his forehead and guided his mind to his Golden Road. With the help of the strange power, he was able to clearly differentiate the concepts of melting and degradation. Huoyua controlled his spiritual power and converted the power of degradation into that of melting. To him, everything happened very slowly, but in reality, it all was completed in the blink of an eye. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.